What is the dumbest thing you've ever seen a man do to prove their manhood? Jump off a balcony onto an uneven, rocky hillside. The first time he did it, he only got a few scrapes. Second time, he broke his leg and wouldn't admit he needed medical attention until 24 hours later when he passed out from the pain. Try to ride an alligator. I remember a tourist local fought a crocodile once to get a girl's number. He lost, but somehow the girl still agreed to a date. Snort paprika. Knew a dude who said, "Oven mitts are for pussies," and then proceeded to grab a hot pizza tray out of the oven bare-handed. Light his balls on fire. Refused to say the word selfie. Dude called it a selfos, because selfie sounded too girly. Shoot a bottle rocket out of his ass crack. Trying to outdrink his friends. It just turns into a bunch of dudes all drinking more than they can handle and ruining their night and sometimes ruining everybody else's night too. Propose to a woman who doesn't love him back because she said he isn't man enough for commitment. Edit. Didn't know this would blow up, so here's how it went down. Dude proposes, girl says it's half-hearted and it was she who dared him to, so it isn't acceptable. Dude tries again later with more gimmicks and shit, girl still didn't accept. They end up wasting time and money and pissed off quite a few who helped set all those up. They break up and we pretended to be shocked. Wasn't really sure if the girl was cheating, but she got married soon after that. Dude got a new girl a year later and married her a year after they got together. They both have families now, but the two still ignore each other when there's a gathering. These two are my friends back in college. Slightly tangential, but still relevant. Boot camp and we were doing our fitness test. Had to run a mile and a half, best effort, usual army bullshit. I'm not much of a runner, but I can pass the test fine. Heading into the final stretch and a girl from our sister troop started pulling past me. My SGT starts screaming at me, "SAXOPHOOL, you're not going to let a fucking girl beat you." Yeah. She's a damn good runner. I carried on at my pace, finished the test and passed with plenty of time to spare. SGT pulls me aside and gives me a proper bollocking about letting the troop down, embarrassing myself, etc. I just let him yell and promised myself to never think like that. 20 years later and I still wouldn't give a flying fuck if a girl beat me in any fitness test. The "I'm not cold" guy, and his cousin, the "sunblock is for pussies" guy. The former likes to stand around outside in the snow in just a t-shirt and shorts, making fun of men dressed properly for winter. The latter thinks real men aren't afraid of sunburns or skin cancer, and ridicules men that use sunblock. Both are equally stupid. Remember that solar eclipse we had a while ago? Like 3-ish years ago? Yeah, an idiot that I know thought he was tough enough to stare at it. Purposefully get kicked in the nuts. I remember when I was in college, frat boys played this game called Rochambeau, where two guys squared off, and each took a turn kicking the other in the nuts. Whoever lasted the longest, won. One time, we were running a mile in gym class and I was one of the few to finish first. But while I was running to the finish line, a boy started sprinting to the finish line. He was chanting, "I'm not going to lose to a girl." He ran past me and beat me to the finish line by like 4 seconds. This was in high school too. Get branded. Edit. Fraternities do it. My ex has 2 brands on his pelvis and 1 on his chest. His frat bro has 24, including his tongue. Others find out too late that they don't scare like normal, they keloid. Which is like a bubbly looking scar tissue growing over where the brand was supposed to be. He had to have surgery to remove it, turned green and pus filled while healing and left with huge ugly scars. Coming from a server. Man literally said he didn't need or want help. Maybe he didn't want to share the tip? Who knows bro. Anyway, carried 15 drinks on 1 tray with 2 full coffee pots and broke every single glass. Did not see that man after that shift. Tried to do this all with 1 hand. This one kid at my old school ate a bee to prove he wasn't scared of them. Shit his pants. He wanted to show he was a real man by farting and wheel, it wasn't just a fart. Secondhand story. Drinking gallons of lemon juice. Dude lowered his blood pH so low because of the acidity of the lemon juice that he went to the ER. Went into a coma. Edit. No, he didn't die. Chill. Edit 2. Thanks y'all for having a discussion. I hate to say it about the man in my own family, but it's the truth, and that shoot huge firearms without earplugs. weld without a respirator, paint in the old days when house paint contained lead, lose their sense of smell because they worked in a water treatment plant with chlorine, siphon gas back in the day when it still contained lead, change oil back in the day with bare hands soaked in engine oil, break open car batteries without gloves or goggles, etc. Mind you, it wasn't intentional, but my grandparents and great-grandparents grew up in a time before OSHA safety regulations and have a tendency to look down on us, my generation, when we try to practice safety nowadays. Not wear a seatbelt. Read about this guy a few years ago. Light his arm on fire, with lighter fluid. He had to have skin grafts. Jumped into the pool when I didn't know how to swim. Learned how to swim out of sheer will that day. I knew of a dude in the army that dangled his testicles over a fire ant hill in Fort Benning, Georgia. Those fire ants will kill a mouse or a lizard instantly. He was hospitalized for a long time and did not finish training with us. One guy in the class above me was bullied for so long that he wasn't a guy. So one day when it was just too much, he pulled down his pants and showed everyone his penis. Take on the multibear. I'm a vet nurse. The amount of guys that won't let themselves cry when saying goodbye to their pet during a euthanasia is crazy. Most of them seem to focus more on not crying than saying goodbye to their animal. Get knocked out on purpose. The very idea of having to prove your manhood is kinda dumb. Being confident in yourself is a definitively masculine trait. Confidence and self-assertiveness are part of the cluster of traits that are widely recognized as what it means to be manly. So if you think about it, feeling the need for approval and validation of one's masculinity by others is, ironically, not very manly, at least not from that perspective. All these stories prove we're just chimpanzees with language. When I was 10, my mom made me bring my little sister over to my best friend's house one time. His little brother got into a shouting match with my sister over whose dad could do the most jump rope reps. Smashing beer cans against his head. Trying to eat almost 1 kilogram steak in one sitting. Ordering twice the amount of McDonald's food that any of the girls orders because men need to eat more. Like, not kidding, if I get one burger, he'll only have a burger menu and call it full, but if I'm starving and orders a big menu and extra, he'll get 2 menus and like 6 burgers. He'll eat it all, but have a look of, OMG I'm gonna throw up, for the rest of the night. Refusing to use deodorant because, men are supposed to smell of man. When he broke his phone, he refused to take a free phone from a friend because it had that little pen thing, note pen, since, ew, real men don't use those. Oh, and this is all the same person XD. When I was in high school, a bunch of boys gave themselves burns by rubbing the tops of their hands with an eraser. Then I think they also put salt in the burns. It was like a pain tolerance test, I guess. A lot of them ended up with a big scar. Not sure who was supposed to be impressed by that. Lie and brag about sexual conquests. Seems really silly the older you get and doesn't reflect well in a long-term relationship. Sometimes that'll fall into the weird virgin whore complex with sexual relationships. It's even more embarrassing when it's all fibs, as if that's all that matters in a partnership, but whatevs. Buddy of mine and I were in a hot sauce store as I'm a bit of a connoisseur. I can take quite a lot of spice, but I know my limits. My buddy was trying to show out and he asks to taste the spiciest stuff, which, by the way, requires you to sign a waiver. He does okay for the first 2 minutes. But then I start to see panic setting on as he's sweating profusely, pacing and spitting. He abruptly disappears for 20 minutes. I'm assuming he was puking his spice-laden guts out. Me in Tijuana, Mexico, late 80s. Got shit-faced with a group of friends in a bar and best friend wanted to see which of us was tougher by having me and him press our forearms together and dropping a lit cigarette in the gap to see who would flinch first. Neither of us flinched for many seconds, we were that hammered. A more sober friend saw what we were doing and slapped our arms, knocking the cigarette off. "What the fuck are you dumb fucks doing?" he said. The scar wasn't permanent, thankfully. Faded over the years. Otherwise, I'd still be looking at it and saying, what a stupid fucking thing to do. Light his leg on fire with Axe body spray and sustained third-degree burns as a result. We all just talked shit how stupid he was. But he wanted to show us how dangerous he was. It was funny, I will say that. I did laugh until I fell to the ground. Because he panicked and flailed after he lit himself on fire and jumped over a fence for no reason. There was absolutely no reason to jump a chain link fence to put out a fire. Then he complained for like 2 weeks how bad his leg hurt. Like no fucking shit, dumb ass. I've worked as a bouncer. Drinking too much and picking a fight with me is way too common. And really stupid. They end up pepper sprayed and handcuffed, waiting for the police. Real manly looking. Had a guy talk me down due to me drop the F-bomb around a woman. The guy explained how I needed to apologize to her, how real me never curse around a woman, how he's a real man since he knows how to treat a woman, then say I needed to have manners around a woman. Immediately the woman groans and says to the guy, for fuck's sake, who cares what he said? I'm not a fucking child, dude. The guy immediately backed down and left us both alone. Stapled themselves. Make America great again. Not wearing a helmet. Not one but all of them. People in my country think a helmet is for amateurs and to be used when around traffic police only. I tried it once, I got dust in my eyes and got allergies from dust. It also makes me uncomfortable to drive a bike without it. Having children. If you're doing that not because you're really sure you want children but rather because you were told too often that having children is part or, growing up, or something, a milestone to achieve on the way to manhood, then that would be stupid. Use extremely hot salsa on their food and then smirk at us before taking a bite. Like, okay dude, I don't know how making your annans hurt in a few hours makes you more of a man, but you do you. Throw an explosive gender reveal party and burn down 7,400 acres. Not wear a mask. Does trying to prove your fertility count? Friend's uncle couldn't get his wife pregnant, refused to believe he had a problem, accused his wife of being barren and get divorced to marry his younger girlfriend, couldn't get her pregnant and then finds out he's infertile. And then tries to get his ex-wife back when girlfriend left him, but his ex-wife breaks it to him that she is pregnant with triplets with her younger doting husband. The uncle really thought he had a chance with her again. Here in Egypt, you're only manly enough if your sister is covering all her body parts and not going out without your confirmation. LMFAO.